So you passed the you went to you passed the LSATs, right? You went to law school. You graduated from law school. You passed the bar, and then you either joined or started your own law firm and you became an attorney. Congratulations. Great job. You deserve all the accolades in the world. Fast forward 5 years. How's it working out for you? Have you found the success that you were looking for back when you were dreaming back in law school or before you started the law school? Um, I know that sadly, many lawyers that had great dreams and ambitions have not, and they're for various reasons. But one of the reasons could be because no one taught you how to sell. Yeah, it's a bad word. I know. Most lawyers loathe that word, selling. And so I'm here to tell you that many successful attorneys that we know, Dave and I, have mastered the art of selling, but without selling, without being the sales guy or gal. There's a way to do that. So, how do you get started, or maybe even restart it because you were good at it at one point? Me and Dave are going to talk about today and tell you how to get started. But welcome back to No Law Firm Left Behind. I'm Jim Gast, and we're here each week to help your law firm be competitive, your staff and attorneys to be productive, all in an effort to help you do exactly what we're talking about today: get new clients and keep them. Dave, honestly, we came up with this last minute. I'm pretty excited about this topic, mainly because of you. Okay. And he's over there, by the way, of you. Because you were with me and we worked together and practiced technology and cybersecurity for 15 years together, right?
Yep.
And so now you've just re-entered the practice of law. Dave was a lawyer. Dave was a lawyer before he practiced technology, and we do practice technology for law firms, so it's kind of appropriate. But now, he's back at a very reputable firm, and not taking on the mentality of I'm just going to take what they give. Dave, you're out there, you're doing it. What are your impressions and thoughts about that transition and how you feel about doing it the way we had to do it here?
So I remember when I graduated law school and I went and joined a large firm. I was at Dinsmore and Shoal back in the early 2000s. And when you came into a large firm as an associate, I mean, the work hit your desk at a flurrying pace. Okay. There was no shortage of work. You didn't have to go find stuff to do. People made sure you were busy. And so you came out of law school. I came out of law school. I had never been taught anything about business development. I went to Dinsmore and Shoal. I was told about business development, but there was never anything as a first or second year associate where it was a big deal. You had plenty of work to do.
So they didn't really tell you, hey, you got this is how you talk to clients. This is
It was almost so. I mean, they touched on it, but it was all still very, for lack of a better word, lawyery kind of.
Okay.
Hey, go speak, go do CLEs, go do this, that, and the other thing. And by the way, these are all great. We're going to talk about that. But there was less emphasis on you really need to be a sales machine to be successful. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we started working together, and I maintained my practice the whole time. And so I had my law practice, but the bulk of my time was spent doing the consulting with you.
Yeah, with us, by the way. He was great at it, by the way, everyone. Yeah. Great at it.
I was very fortunate that I was able to go in with SpliceNet and see so many different firms. And so I was exposed to so many different strategies for business development, marketing, sales, which are all the same thing, by the way. We can call it business development all we want in the legal field.
Bundle it all together. Yep.
And it's not unprofessional to consider it marketing and sales, just in my opinion. But I got to see what worked and what didn't. And I got to see what the successful practices that were growing exponentially were doing, and what was different between them and the firms that were just kind of keeping on, keeping on. There are plenty of older established firms that can live off of reputation, at least for some subset of the
and legacy customer and legacy clients,
exactly. One of the ideas in law is that word of mouth is critical, and it is. But you can't get word of mouth if you don't get those clients to start with. Okay. And so that's where I think a lot of people mess up when they find themselves in certain positions. If you're fortunate enough to join a firm and you join it just as somebody's retiring and they want to just hand you their practice, consider yourself one of the lucky few that just kind of had the, legal client fairy come and leave clients under your pillow at night. All right. For most of us, it's not going to work.
No, that's not how it works with the new consumers today.
Yeah.
And B2B and B2C.
And so, I mean, Jim, you've seen it as well. Yeah. There's such a dichotomy out there between attorneys who embrace sales and marketing and those that don't.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that first off, let's get this off the table. We are not suggesting to break professional ethics at all today. No. There are ethics that are involved in this, but because there are ethics involved in this, it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to do anything, right? You're allowed to talk about a lot of things, but obviously I think really honestly, the rules for ethics that are put in place were because, some lawyers were doing it inappropriately with the ambulance chaser. I use that word, right? I think that they were put in place to restrict that type of selling, right? And so I think that Dave, you and I have seen law firms that don't appropriately sell close down. I mean, we've been doing this for 15. I've been doing it 20 years. You were doing it for 15 years. Well, 25 for me actually. And even in that short amount of time, I've seen firms come and go. Some of the biggest legacy firms, it's amazing because they stopped selling.
Yep.
Right. And let me ask you this. Why do you think lawyers just have a trepidation in general about sales and marketing?
So oftentimes, let's start with the kind of people that go into the practice of law to begin with. All right. Most people, if they're thinking about a career in sales or a career in business, don't go to law school to begin with. Okay. Secondly, lawyers as a group tend to be pretty risk averse. And so,
sure, yeah, I get that. I agree.
Let's face it, lawyers don't like. It's bad when lawyers are wrong. We're paid to be right. Okay, we're paid to figure out the right answer, or at least something that's not an obvious wrong answer. Lawyers don't like failing. Sales is a game of failing.
Sales it's a percentage game. It's a percentage game.
Sales really is a lot like baseball.
Yeah.
Where if you get a salesman that closes 30% of his opportunities, that person is a gold mine, just like a baseball player that hits 300.
Yeah.
You fail 70% of the time and you're a star. That doesn't really jive with the lawyer mentality. I mean, if you're a lawyer and your practice, you're wrong 70% of the time, you're not going to be around very long. Yeah. You need to find something else to do. And so you have that aspect of, if you want to get out there and sell, you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to have a lot of failures. It doesn't really fit the personality
or the job description. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
You're right.
So I mean that's a big thing. There's a lot of risk, and lawyers are very risk averse, and so it just
And so
doesn't fit that personality very well.
do you? I have to ask this, and I love all the attorneys I work for except for that one. I'm just kidding. You know who you're. I'm just kidding. Um, do you think that there's maybe I'm a lawyer, I don't need to do that mentality at all?
So
I shouldn't have to do that.
this is not, and this is not just lawyers. Okay,
No, it's not.
this is across every industry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say every industry, but
Go
across
on.
many industries. There's the idea that if I build a better mousetrap, customers are just going to show up at my door.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this statement. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to interrupt you. Statement.
Mhm.
Say, you could invent nuclear fusion, okay, in your basement, but if
Mhm.
you never take it out of your basement and tell nobody, it does nobody any good.
Right. And that's where it's not just lawyers, but lawyers
Mhm.
obviously fall
Yeah.
prey to that same mentality. It's the idea that, well,
Mhm.
I'm really good at what I do. I'm really smart. I'm really educated. I'm
Right.
really experienced. People should just know how great I am and seek me out. And you know what? I
I
know
love it.
many. I will tell you. Okay, so I'm not going to name any names throughout the years. Okay, but I've had one of the most successful lawyers that I knew looked at me one day and said, "You want to know a secret?" And it's like, "What?" And he goes, "I'm a terrible lawyer." He's like, "I'm really not very good at what I do, but I hire really smart, capable people to make sure that I am, giving a good product to the
Yep.
client. I can go out and explain to the client, make them understand that we are going to take care of them. It doesn't matter that I'm not the one that's doing the really awesome work for them,
That's right.
And so there's
What is
it's
it?
an idea that
What do they call it?
talent does not always equal business generation.
You know what? I've got a whole list of things we got to hit here, and we got to get to them.
Mhm.
Okay, but I want to bring this up. What we and I haven't said them in so long, so the titles are escaping me, right? But it's the old title. It's like you've got the hunter, the gatherer. And so
Finders, minders, and grinders.
thank you, finders, minders, and
That's
grinders.
the one that I came up with.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. It's a great one. So, and I can tell you that a lot of law firms do not put finders where they need to be. Okay. If I had a law firm and I had a finder, okay, if I had any business and I had a finder that was good at finding, you know, I would not have that person grinding or minding ever. Right. Um, there's great people that are good at customer relationships. Those are your great miners, right? They're the great ones. But there's grinders also that just are really good at doing the work and don't really want to. The best organizations and law firms are the ones that put people in the right
Mhm.
seats, right? And if you've got a finder, I would not put that person on the 2,000 hours a year, practice or 18 hours a year. I would put that person on maybe 1,000 hours a year
Yeah.
plus, find us new clients all the
Yep.
time.
And the thing is that it's got to be structured right. So, one of the things that I want, and I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit.
That's okay.
Do you, Jim? I'm not sure if you have a plan to talk about later. To
Yeah.
always think of yourself as an entrepreneur of wherever you're at. Okay.
You know what? That's kind of what, and I'm going to say that's what you have to do. That's what you've done.
And that's exactly the way that I look at things. So let's take our finder, miner, grinder. All right. And we're going to talk about that. That's awesome in a mature practice area. Okay. You might have something, let's take a labor and employment. And you've already got an established practice with maybe 5 attorneys, a handful of paralegals, some legal assistants, et cetera. So you've already got this practice group. Well, within that area, you can have somebody that's an awesome business development, somebody that's awesome at making sure everything's being taken care of, like your operations kind of person. And then you have the people that are cranking the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have situations like where I'm at, where I joined Buckingham and I'm bringing in an entirely new practice area.
Mm-hmm.
There are other attorneys here that have experience in it, but it's my responsibility to grow this. So even though I might be part of a good sized law firm, I have to think of myself as a solo in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I have to think
Yeah.
of myself
New
as an
practice area.
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I have to do this and I have to wear all those hats. I have to find it. Then I have to make sure the client's taken care of, and I have to do the work because I'm the person with the most experience in the practice area.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, especially when you're starting out. But I encourage everyone that I know, especially associates that might not be part of a large group, or if you are part of a large group but you want to take that next step, try to find like a niche within your niche.
Oh, yeah.
And become that person.
Yeah.
And become an entrepreneur within that niche of a niche.
Mm-hmm.
You still do all the other work, obviously, because the work has to get done.
Most law firms would welcome someone like that. Most law firms want people that are going to bring new clients to the table.
Yep. And so let's assume you've decided you've either got your niche. So take someone like me where I've got a practice area I'm responsible for developing, or you're a solo and then you have to develop whatever, or you're at a firm and you've decided you want to take it to the next level. So you're going to niche within your niche.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jim, I think now we should go ahead and we should turn to, how do you do this? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I kind of broke it out this, for our session today. Generally, we have three types of attorneys in a practice. Okay. You've got your types of attorneys in general. You get your associates, you got your solos, and then you've got your partners. And there are different levels of partners, and they all mean different things in different places. They all have rights and abilities and so on and so forth. But I like to kind of think of it like, what can I do as an associate? I really have no power to sell. I get the occasional referral from my family and friends, but what else can I do? I'm just an associate. Well,
and you got to get that out of your head. You got to get that
right
out
now.
of your head.
You defeated yourself by saying that.
Yep.
Okay. How are you going to get to be a partner? You're going to have to do something different, right?
Right.
And so it's my opinion that even an associate should be looking at, and here's some things I thought, Dave, and we can talk about them. I'm just looking at them. First off, make sure you get that killer bio on your website. Bios, in my opinion, shouldn't be about you. Oh, I went to this school and that school, and I got a GPA and cum laude and law review and so on and so forth. Member of this bar and that bar and chair of that. Yes, those are important, and there's a place on your bio for those things. But shouldn't it be what you do and what you do and want to do for other people? I mean, when I look at a bio, I want to know, why do people want to read the bios? They're not looking, they go into it looking for experience, but instead I want to digest on that person.
Nobody goes out and goes, you know what? I need to go find a Notre Dame graduate lawyer. Yeah. I need to go find somebody that graduated law review.
Yeah, right.
I need to go find.
People don't know what that is.
It's not what people are looking for.
People don't know what that is. They don't know what that means.
People look at it and say, I have this problem. I need to go find a lawyer that can solve this problem.
Right.
So if your bio isn't talking about how you can solve this problem, you've missed a huge opportunity.
It's like pre-bedside manner for a doctor, right? I got all these great degrees and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't help me relate and want to buy from you, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I need to relate to you. So bio, social media, Dave, man, isn't that like your free ticket to the world?
If done right.
Yeah.
If done right, you can do social media very wrong. Okay. And again, this is one of those areas that be aware of your ethical limitations as an attorney when it comes to social media. All right. but don't be afraid of social media. I do a lot on social media. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on Twitter. Less time on Twitter more recently, more time on LinkedIn, just whatever. It's not worth spending time talking about why I made that.
I think it's important to why you're trying to approach businesses versus individuals. That's a good justification.
So back several years ago, I was very big into Twitter because I was going for a national reach. And so it was raw numbers. Okay. And with Twitter, because everything is so short shelf lifed, it's about getting as broad of a reach as you can. Numbers game, basically. Plus, my goal several years ago was, and this was pre-COVID, I was doing a lot on the speaking circuit. Yep. And I would receive a number of speaking engagements, paid speaking engagements from Twitter.
Yep.
Well, COVID, this paid speaking engagements pretty much dried up, which is fine. But now that I'm B2B a lot more often, and because now that I'm back full time in the practice of law only, which has me limited to practice in Ohio because that's where I'm licensed, now it becomes a quality over a quantity. Mm-hmm. And I believe LinkedIn, you have to focus on quality if you're going to social media market through LinkedIn. You have to be genuine. Don't do the canned, hey, thanks for connecting. Can I ask you a question? What's important in your... Don't do that. People hate that.
Yeah. Be real. And that actually transcends just LinkedIn and goes over to Facebook too. Let's talk about this big question. There's a lot of lawyers out there that are more B2C, selling to a consumer versus a business. And I think that both platforms are good for that. And I think both platforms are good for business to business too. Right now we're streaming to my personal Facebook. Why do I do that? I also yesterday or the day before put pictures up of my kids and pictures up of my running progress and pictures up of, of some cybersecurity thing and pictures of my wife for anniversary and sang her a horrible song, without a tune on Facebook. But it's all.
Did you do that again this year?
I did. She loved it.
Excellent. Great.
I don't know why it's a horrible voice, but nevertheless, I do all that stuff on my Facebook, all that stuff. I'm always cautious to not offend others, although I know my singing does, by not putting things that are controversial. I try to stay away from controversy so that I can use my Facebook for both personal, because I have a lot of friends, and professional reasons. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Dave?
So here, I can sum up Facebook. First of all, everything you just said there is correct. And obviously, if you're in a B2C environment, Facebook is a great way to reach people. Mm-hmm. Don't get too salesy on your feed. Nope. Okay? Don't do that.
Nope. I do put promotion. If we have a promotion or, tips and stuff like that, and people come to me.
Educate.
Yeah, that's
Educate. Now, here's another point. I don't spend a ton of time on Facebook personally. But I think Facebook can be a great channel even for B2B.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very simple. This might be a little insensitive to say right now. Everybody works somewhere.
Oh, no, that's not insensitive to say. I mean, I get what you're saying. But you're right.
We're not selling some people have been harmed, given current circumstances, and they're not working when they'd want to be. So I don't want to offend anybody that would I'd love if I was working somewhere. But
your point is
a lot of people work for somebody.
And we're not selling to businesses. We're selling to people.
Exactly.
People need to relate to you before they'll buy.
A business doesn't make a buying decision. A person
that's right.
that works on behalf of a business makes a buying decision.
Well,
so let's be real, be genuine, be personable.
Yep.
Facebook's a great place to do that.
You got it. Okay. So another thing is tips and newsletters, right?
Yep. Again, that's educate. That's the biggest thing you can do. And lawyers, hey, you have so much great stuff that you can share with people.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Without coming across like a salesperson.
Yeah. You don't have to. It's just I want to give you information. If I give you information, I'm going to be the one that you're going to call, hopefully,
Yep.
Solos, right? Man, a solo's got a different challenge on the website than an associate. A solo should control their own website, right? And be
Yes.
able to say anything that they want to say. Look, I'm going to tell you this. I've said this for 10, 15 years. Never say full service on on a law firm website.
Not if you're not if you're a solo, especially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some full service law firms out there. Okay. But even
I would argue that there really is, but okay.
even good sized law firms. I mean, like even where I'm at right now, there are certain little nichey things that
Mm.
just it takes a special breed to do certain things, you
Yeah.
know.
I
But
would
man, when you
that website's
see
got to represent you, doesn't it?
but when you see a um, 2-person law firm or a 3-person law firm and they claim they're full service, it's just like, oh my goodness, please
Yeah.
don't do that. Don't
Now,
first of
that's
all,
not to
nobody
say
searches for a full service law firm.
no. No, they don't.
You don't wake up one day and go, you know what? I need to find a law firm that does everything. You don't do it.
No.
You wake up one day with a legal need.
My neck hurts. I was in an accident yesterday. I need a personal injury auto.
Exactly. If that personal injury person just so happens to work with somebody that does estate planning, awesome. That's where you're going to talk about cross selling. Great.
Yeah.
But if you're marketing yourself just as full service, nobody's looking for that.
I think if I'm a solo and I do 3 things really well, let's just put it this way. I would list no more than 3 things and focus on 3 things really well on my website, maybe 2, right?
Yeah.
If I don't ever do estate planning, hardly ever, and it doesn't make up the vast majority of my business,
Don't put it on your.
it's going to be a
Don't put it on your
footnote.
site.
It's going to be a footnote somewhere, right, Dave?
Yeah, don't put it on your site if it's
No.
not something that. Remember, it's about niching. It's about being top of mind for what you want to be.
Yep. Yep.
And if you dilute that with clutter, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yep. Couple of notes here. Contact forms on every page. Don't make somebody go to the contact us page. Telephone number on every page.
Now, of course, you're talking towards solos and small firms right now.
I'm talking about every size firm, in my opinion. But the bigger firms have a different purpose for their website.
If we have some associates watching, firmly aware that you might not have the ability to get a contact me form if the firm you're at hasn't already put that in place.
Yeah.
But just take what you can get.
And there are different purposes. When you get to be a larger firm, they want to brand the firm, not an attorney. Okay, so I get not having a contact us on every page, but you got to have a way to people don't want to click around. Less clicks they have to do to get to you. Okay, the better. I don't care what level you are. It's my opinion, but your telephone number's got to be really, really close to first page, in my opinion, if not every page. I believe in solos and all websites. Pictures of happy clients, if they'll let you, testimonials or anonymous successes. Right.
Again, be cognizant of your rules of professional ethics on that.
Very much so. And with partners, if you're in charge of the website, yeah, I'm telling you, make sure that all the things we've said work for everybody beneath you so that they can have the success, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm an associate, I want my associates to have that success. We should be cognizant of what their bios are. We should be, looking for other lawyers in the firm to have the ability to, get leads and stuff like that from that stuff. So, Dave, the last thing I want to talk about real quick, I'll also say every one of those levels, I think that what we're doing right now is a perfect example of great educational marketing, right? Mm-hmm. We don't do this. We're not going to make any money on this at all. Okay. This is no law firm left behind. We're trying to help your law firm be competitive. Okay. Yeah. I'm not being a salesperson right here. I'm not trying to sell you cybersecurity, technology, help desk. Those are shameless plugs, by the way. I'm not trying to sell you that stuff. I'm trying to help your business, your law firm. So I believe that podcasts and live streams are great mechanisms, and they're so easy and inexpensive to get going.
Yeah, it's
Easy.
just a matter of getting up and doing it and committing to it.
We're going to have a show on that later. Now, the last thing I'll say, Dave, the list.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the list is so important, right? That list needs to be cared for and nurtured. You want to talk about what you're doing and what the list means?
So I have cultivated a lot of relationships over the years, but just having an email list by itself, while helpful, isn't enough. It's simply not enough. You need to be able to dissect your list. You need to be able to pull up subsets of people based on each thing so you can customize and you can craft and you can track. And so I'm using Salesforce.
Dave, I think there's a dirty, nasty acronym that you're about to use about what that is.
It's a CRM.
Oh, you said it. Oh, I know. Everybody just cringed by hearing that word because we don't believe in that. We believe in just practice management and billing systems.
Right. And the thing is that CRMs are every bit as important as your practice management system, in my opinion. Because
why don't we have a CRM? Why don't we just keep it in the practice management system, Dave?
So some practice management systems have CRM functions built into them. Okay. But if yours doesn't, I strongly recommend you have a standalone CRM system.
Yeah, it doesn't clutter up the practice management system.
So some of the practice management systems have done, and they've built it in such a way that you can track all your customer relationship management.
Yeah.
Notice I didn't say sales.
No.
Okay. Sales is just a part of an overall relationship that you have with people over the long term, because sales is not you trying to con somebody into doing something they don't want to do.
Not at all.
Sales is about finding a way to help somebody, showing them the values so that they make the decision to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's all part of customer relationships. It's all part of people relationships.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So one of the things, regardless of whatever CRM you choose, it has to be geared towards fostering that relationship. And that's where a practice management system by itself doesn't do that. It doesn't have that spin to it. Another thing I want to add about the list, a well-curated, smaller list is infinitely more valuable than a gigantic list of people that you really don't know or have any insight.
I'm going to call him out right here because he'll appreciate it. Okay. You think I should? He'll appreciate it. He will appreciate it. All right. So in a Cincinnati attorney that we know, who is just a fantastic guy.
He's an awesome guy. And by the way, one of the attorneys that when we look at business development
is an expert at it.
He does really, really good.
And his practice is phenomenal, but his list is the most important thing to him. Yep. You could literally take away all his operating capital, take away all of his billables, take away everything, okay? And he would be able to rebuild it because of his list.
Yep.
You know, and he knows this, and he puts emphasis on this list.
It is his most valuable asset without question.
And he says so. He's very proud of that list, and it's nurtured, and it's marketed to, you know, sends a lot of different things. And let's not talk about his specifics because that gives away some secret sauce.
Exactly.
Right? But he's very creative on how he markets birthdays. I mean, everybody knows this stuff. Birthday cards, you know, an event happens. Have you thought about, right? Email or physical mail. That's nurturing that list. And he
don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to use handwritten stuff. People like that. We don't get stuff in the mail anymore that isn't stupid.
Yeah. So in that list, Dave, is built of your clients, built of people that have not converted, and a conversion is they came, they filled out a form, but they didn't come in, or they had a consult and they didn't sign a fee agreement, or they signed a fee agreement, they had a case and never called you again, right? So your clients should be in there too.
Yep.
You should be marked as former client.
Yep.
So there's categories and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely essential to market to that. Dave, we are over 5 minutes, but that's okay. I think this is a valuable topic. Maybe in like later months, I'd like to deep dive into this.
I think
Um,
we could definitely deep dive into proper use of CRMs.
yeah, 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 absolutely.
I think that'd be really helpful if people could see sort of how do you use a CRM? What are the
Yeah,
different
yeah.
things that you could do? And I think, I use Salesforce, but Jim, you would probably have the ability to get like a dynamic CRM.
Well, we resell Dynamic CRM, shameless plug, and
Well, but what I mean is we should be able to get like a demo environment
oh
where
yeah, we
we
have
can,
plenty of that,
you
plenty of
know,
that. Yeah.
I think that'd be a good idea to set that up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that I think we could also talk about some of the practice managements that actually have
Hmm.
CRMs built into them. So listen, Dave, we got to cut this short because I know you
Yep,
got to
fair
get back
enough.
to work. I got to get back to
I
work,
could
and
talk. I could talk about this stuff for days.
everybody watching, they've got to move on as well. So listen, count on next week talking about CRM. I just think it's an appropriate conversation.
Sounds great.
So this is No Law from Left Behind, and if you want to join our
Next week
group.
I will not be joining, so
That's all right. There is a link for our group on LinkedIn. I wish they would give us beautiful URLs, but LinkedIn, please listen. I've been saying this for a year now, but that's the ugly one that we've got. Take a picture of it. Join our group on LinkedIn. Also, you can hashtag No Law Firm Left Behind on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and actually on Facebook too, because with the hashtags all over the place. But if you just don't have time to do all this, every Tuesday, 10:30 Eastern, Dave, me, Vinny's combination of us are here talking about things that'll benefit your law firm. So thanks a lot, Dave. I think it was a very valuable show, and I think you'll probably agree with me.
yeah.
And really right there in our core what we're trying to accomplish. So everyone, thanks a lot. Have a great week. Dave, we'll catch you later too.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.